Hello everyone! Today we will be talking about Korea and how it touches our lives. South Korea and North Korea are countries in Asia that you may know about already. South Korea's pop music has been getting more famous over the years. They are famous for many other things as well, and I will be going over what makes Korea so interesting. By the end of my presentation, I hope that you find Korea interesting enough that you want to learn more on your own. So let's get started. The first thing that I mentioned a little at the beginning is K-pop. K-pop has been getting very popular recently, and it's often played on the radio. The group you see in the photo is called BTS, and they are the ones who played a huge part in making all of that happen. K-pop is known to be flashy and have wild music videos that are made to be memorable. Something you may notice is that a lot of K-pop members like to dye their hair special colors so that they can either match their fashion or stand out more. However, K-pop is not the only thing from South Korea that is becoming more popular in the United States. The other thing that is becoming very popular is Korean food, especially Korean barbecue, which you see in the picture on the right. It's just like our barbecue, except when you sit down, you are expected to cook your own food. That makes it so that you can cook your own meat just how you like it without having to tell the chef. One of Korea's most iconic foods is called kimchi. You can buy kimchi in almost any supermarket here in the United States. Kimchi is a very special cultural dish in Korea, and they take it very seriously. Many people from around the town will come together and make kimchi with each other. Although that is a very old tradition, it is still popular and common outside of big cities. But besides the food and K-pop, what makes South Korea so special? Well, South Korea is what I like to call a very high-tech country that still preserves a lot of their ancient traditions. South Korea is a very old country, and they like to make sure that many of their ancient buildings are preserved so that they do not fall apart. So in South Korea, it is possible to find a castle in the middle of a city. To South Koreans, it is very important to remember your history, where you came from, and the traditions passed down through the ages. Maybe your family does something like that. Because South Korea is so high-tech, they often lead the world in many ways. One of those ways is esports. Esports are becoming very popular around the world, and even pay just as much or even more than some professional sports. There is a game called League of Legends that South Korea hosts the World Championships for every year. So many people go to watch either in person or online that there are more viewers than the Baseball World Series. They even have special laws for video games in Korea. They believe that esports will one day compete directly with all other sports. But gaming is not the only technology that South Korea is a leader in. More commonly, South Korea is famous for their smartphone technology. Their biggest company is called Samsung. Samsung is the Apple iPhone's biggest competitor. But phones are not where Samsung stops its development. They also produce fridges, washing and drying machines, and even TVs. Samsung is Korea's leader in electronic devices, and without them, the world would not have LED flat-screen TVs. However, Samsung is not the only big Korean company. Some others you may recognize are Hyundai, who specialize in making cars, and LG, who also make phones and TVs. You can find LG TVs in any Walmart, Target, or Costco in the United States. We use many South Korean technologies in our everyday lives. I bet you didn't know that. That is why Korea is a very important role in the world. But technology is not the only reason you should learn about South Korea. In the United States, there are many Asian Americans who have either come here for work or to make a better life. It is important to recognize and understand the difference between Asian Americans, as there are many countries in Asia. Out of 19 million Asian Americans in the United States, about 2 million of them are Korean. And even more, there are over 200,000 Korean-owned businesses in the United States. If there is an Asian market or restaurant in your town, it is possible that one of them is owned by a Korean family. Not only that, but South Korea is the world producer of medical technology for hospitals. Without South Korea, many of the hospitals in the United States would be without much needed medical equipment that is used to save lives. Because of our close relationship with South Korea, the United States and South Korea have been very good friends for a long time. More than 70 years. A lot of our military goes to South Korea every year, and many of them live there. South Korea asks for our help to defend themselves from all the bigger countries surrounding them. It's important to note that South Korea is not the only Korea. The other Korea I want to quickly talk about is North Korea. North Korea is almost an exact opposite of South Korea, besides their culture, but even that is becoming different from each other. North Korea is controlled by what's called a dictatorship, where one person controls the country. They are also very aggressive, which you probably have heard or seen in the news. They also have a very big military. Their military is what they spend the most money on every year. But even though North Korea has been very unfriendly in the past and aggressive towards South Korea and the United States, recently they have been trying more to become friendlier with countries around the world instead of being alone. Today, travel to North Korea is banned, but maybe one day North Korea will become friendly enough that the world will be able to visit and see North Korea for themselves. So remember, Korea is important. Much of South Korea's technology is used by all of us in the United States. We eat their food, and many of the Korean people come to the United States to live. So I highly recommend learning more about Korea on your own time and understanding just how important they are to the world and how they touch our lives every day. Thank you for watching.